Well, why now? I think Robert Lighthizer, so the US trade representative, is trying to shift the attention away from the US-China discussions and towards US-Europe in a long-running battle between Boeing and Airbus. And I think Airbus's response is fascinating because there are parallel rulings from the WTO, one against Airbus, one against Boeing. There have been state roles in subsidizing aircraft manufacturers on both sides of the Atlantic for many, many years, many decades. And therefore, I think this plays, I mean, you need to see this in the context of what will play well with the base going in the 2020 election. This is politically popular in the US, it's politically popular in Congress, and I think we must see that in that guise.
Simon, what's going a little bit under the radar today as well is that there's an EU-China summit taking place. Vice Premier Li Keqiang is also in Europe today meeting with his counterparts. If you remember last month, the EU released a document labeling China as a systemic rival. Now today you get news of the US looking to impose tariffs on the EU. The EU have labeled China a systemic rival. I mean, are we in a situation where EU is, Billy no mates? They've got no friends either side of the world.
Well, I think you're right to say there are threats emerging on both sides, but it'd be interesting whether there's a strategic alliance here. And we think of some of the events that have taken place over the last couple of years. Premier Xi appearing at Davos in January, or over a year and a half ago now, talking about being the bastion of free trade, not a role we normally associate the Chinese with. Are they going to align themselves with being the voice for trying to dial down the rhetoric, or are they going to respond to the Europeans, labelling them a systemic rival? And also, are we starting to see a break in the European picture? The EU27 have been very united in terms of their stance, but Italy have now signed a memorandum of understanding with China. That's key in terms of whether you'll get countries taking their strategic aims over and above the supranational aims of the EU.
Let's talk about the actual numbers, though. I mean, 11 billion really is a drop in the ocean today. It's more about the signaling that it's not big, even though obviously they're targeting specific sectors. But it's coming at a time where the European economy is clearly struggling, and the focus of the world right now has been on the global slowdown, but a lot of that has been led by Europe specifically. What type of position does this put them in, especially given there were some green shoots evolving in the most recent manufacturing data, slightly better than expectations. But if we're looking at another round of escalation of the political rhetoric with the US, then any signs of recovery in the EU surely will be nipped in the bud.
Well, it's a great question. The reason being that there is a structurally low growth rate in the Eurozone for a variety of reasons. A lack of structural reform over the last 6 or 7 years, crucially quite unfavourable demographics, and that makes the economic area vulnerable to these kind of unexpected sideswipes that come from international diplomacy that over the last 20, 30 years has been quite accommodative and is now moving to quite a confrontational stage. And therein lies the real challenge. If you've got a slow structural growth rate in that 1 to 1.5% range, it doesn't take much to move into negative territory, and that is the risk we're facing right now.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.